It was all shades of red, as far as the eye could see, across the fifth floor ballroom of the Rhode Island Convention Center last month, as women and men gathered for this year's Go Red for Women luncheon. The annual event focuses on women's heart health issues, and this year, in addition to the 700 people who came for the lunch, there were multiple workshops and information stations just off the ballroom leading up to the main event. You probably have heard about Go Red for Women, which the American Heart Association launched nationally in 2004. But here's what you might not know.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in women, and 80% of heart disease is preventable.
Melissa Cummings is a senior vice president at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Rhode Island and chairwoman of this year's Go Red campaign. Along the way, she got an unexpected and very personal primer on heart health. Her mom, Donna Daniels, began experiencing shortness of breath last fall. A nurse by training, she had always watched her diet and exercised religiously. But it was nagging jaw pain that finally sent Donna to see a doctor.
That came up as one of the leading symptoms of heart disease or heart issues for women in particular. We often hear about pain traveling down a left arm. That's typically more a male thing, although it certainly can happen to women. That didn't happen to her. The jaw pain was really the trigger.
Fortunately, Donna did not have a heart attack, but Melissa says it would only have been a matter of time. She received stents and is now good to go. Melissa, who spoke at last month's luncheon, had several questions for the audience.
I asked for survivors in the room to stand. And then I asked for caregivers, people who have taken care of someone who's had an episode related to heart disease or stroke. I asked then who has been impacted, either themselves or in their friends or family, by diabetes or high blood pressure. And to be honest, Jim, that's when the floodgates opened. And standing on that stage and looking out across that room, it was in that question around diabetes and high blood pressure that the majority of the room stood up. And then I asked if anyone had had anyone in their family or their friends or a colleague impacted by heart disease. And to my eye, standing on that stage, I'm not sure there was anyone left in their seat.
So the American Heart Association stresses education and awareness. And just last month, CVS Health pledged to raise $10 million over the next 3 years to support cardiovascular research and education. Throughout the month of February, CVS stores like this one in North Smithfield encourage patrons to donate to the American Heart Association. CVS's Eileen Howard-Boone said AHA is a good and natural fit for her company.
From a women's perspective, from just an overall heart disease perspective, it's the #1 killer of women. So we really need to be part of it. We really need to align ourselves with the smartest people in the industry. And American Heart doesn't just focus on the research, doesn't just focus on the advocacy, it helps engage and empower women to know more about their health.
Eileen said CVS offered free health screenings last month at its Minute clinics, which let participants find out their levels for cholesterol, HDL or good cholesterol, and blood sugar, as well as blood pressure and body mass index.
I am a daughter of a heart attack survivor. It's very important to me that women not only understand those numbers, but they understand the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. My mom didn't know she was having a heart attack, and as a result had a much worse health outcome than we wanted her to do. If she knew she was having a heart attack and had got in earlier, the outcome would have been much better.
Hi guys.
CVS is also donating 6 CPR training kits, like this one, to 4 local schools in Rhode Island. Last week, Amanda Leet with the American Heart Association brought one of the kits and spoke to a health class at Beacon Charter School in downtown Woonsocket. A bill passed in 2015 makes CPR training a requirement for high school students to graduate. The kit includes inflatable mannequins, training DVDs, and 10 automatic external defibrillator training simulators, among other things.
They told me I was really never going to play sports again.
And it's not just heart disease. Christina Hill had a stroke 7 years ago at the age of 14 after she arrived home from middle school one afternoon.
I called my mom and told her, like, there's something wrong with me and you need to come home. A couple hours later, I found myself in my bedroom, still being sick, still throwing up, and I found myself in the bathroom a little after that, but I don't remember how I got there. There was something drastically wrong. Like, I literally thought I was dying because, like, I couldn't move. And
your speech?
My speech, I couldn't talk. I couldn't sit up.
Christina, who was a star hockey player at the time, wound up at Children's Hospital in Boston, where her parents got the inconceivable news.
Mr. and Mrs. Hill, your daughter's had a stroke. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, so what's a stroke? Like, am I going to be at my hockey tournament this weekend? Like, that was my main concern.
Yeah, because who at 14 has even heard of a stroke?
Exactly.
It has been a long road back, but the girl who doctors thought might not walk again is a sophomore at Dean College in Franklin, Massachusetts, and plays on the women's soccer team.
Was your goal all along always to get back on the field and the ice?
100%.
And
Because they told
there's
me
some people who told you weren't going to do that.
it was
right?
never going to happen. And my mentality was like, you're going to tell me I'm never going to walk again and tell me not even think about sports, but I'm going to tell you that I'm going to walk again, and I'm going to show you that I can play sports again. Being on the field now, I can't even put words to it. Like, it's the best feeling knowing that I get to do what I love again.
Christina and Melissa's mom, Donna, were both recognized at the Go Red Luncheon last month. Christina also regularly volunteers to speak to school assemblies like this one at Norwood Middle School outside of Boston a couple of weeks ago. She was on hand with a local representative of the American Heart Association to encourage the kids to participate in a fundraising event called Hoops for Heart.
It really hits home because if I go and speak in a middle school and I go, which one of you guys are in 8th grade? And a bunch of 8th graders' hands like go up, and I was like, well, I was in 8th grade when I had my stroke, and everyone in the room just like, you can't even hear a pin drop.
And Christina, a communications major, wants to work for the American Heart and American Stroke Associations after she graduates. She's already a seasoned booster.
No matter how much money they raise, even if it's 50 cents or $1, like, you're helping someone in the hospital. Like, you're helping that little girl or that little boy that says they weren't going to walk again.
This year's organizers of the Go Red for Women campaign worked hard to include men as well. And they hope those who were there will take the message and awareness beyond the luncheon.
And so many people think heart disease, they immediately think men.
They think men. They think obese, maybe. They think, people who are smoking. They think people who are doing all of the things that we know potentially aren't things we should be doing.
And your mom looked in pretty good shape.
My mother is the exact opposite of that.
Right. She's the antithesis of what you would think of as the stereotype.
That's exactly right. Go Red is central to the point of raising awareness. First, you have to know heart disease is something you should be thinking about, and how prevalent it is, and how, frankly, not sexy it is. It's not sexy, and it's not visible, and it's not something that you can look at somebody and say, ooh, they have heart disease. That is some of, frankly, the challenge in creating a conversation about why it's so important.
It's a conversation they hope will continue throughout the year. In Providence, Jim Hummel for the Rhode Island Spotlight.